David in-house today, and we want to give him the list of the 32 candidates that the Washington Examiner posted and said these are the most likely candidates for president of the United States with the GOP. First of all, David, how are you, sir?
Doing well, man.
Good to see you.
You too, sir.
You're always looking good. Let me and you've cut down on the American flag shirt or the Texas flag shirt a great deal.
You've broken me of the habit, man. I used to be patriotic, but not after I hang around you anymore.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I didn't mean that.
David, first of all, what is the health, do you think, of the GOP?
I think you've got several levels. I think the leadership health is not strong. I think the base health is fairly strong. I do like what I'm seeing in the pushing back in a number of state parties in a much more conservative direction. So I think you've got two GOPs right now. Same way.
Which one do you predict is going to win? Because, they just censured John McCain hard. Mm-hmm. And there is still this John McCain world that, they're the ones in charge.
Yeah.
But the people are so disconnected from them. Which one wins?
I think the people eventually win. What I'm seeing now with the people is different from what I've seen in my lifetime. And they're starting to get in a process. They're starting to teach themselves and learn. They're starting to get deeper than just the headlines.
You concerned at all that Chris Christie still has exactly the same approval rating that he did before the scandal?
No, because the approval rating is there, but that's not the same as being in a primary where you have other conservatives you have to run against. Approval rating for New Jersey is fine, and what people think he's doing in Jersey is fine. That's not national, and that's not when you get in a primary against conservatives.
Because I was really concerned that what this says to me is, Chris Christie, correct me if you disagree with me, Chris Christie is doing exactly what Barack Obama is doing. He was punishing his enemies. Mm-hmm. He used the State Department of Highways. Barack Obama is using the IRS. What's the difference? Except scale.
Yeah, this is one of the things with people who get into politics, not for service but for self, and especially your staff. When you get somebody in like that, your staff becomes very much that way, and your staff is a lot more punitive than you are oftentimes. And there's a Bible proverb that when a ruler listens to lies, all of his servants become liars. And that's the kind of problem you have is your staff takes on the character personified and on steroids of the leader who's in office.
All right, so let's go through this list. Do you have the list, Stu? Jeffy has a look. Can you bring the list over here? So Stu can just give the.
Bring it over.
Let's bring it over.
I don't know how.
I know you don't. I know you don't like to do that very often, but all right. So we've crossed. I think we whittled it down to like 12 people. Let's see how far you get down to. And these are people that you think, okay, you know what? I know enough about them, and I can see, we should learn more about them or whatever. Whittle it down, and then we whittled it down to, I think we got down to 3 that we felt confident, really, really 1, that we would say, yes, I'd vote for that person today. Can we play this game with you?
You bet, absolutely.
Right, go ahead. So here's the list.
And the thought is, again, as Glenn was kind of explaining there, we're trying to keep the people on the list. Like, this is like American Idol. Round. We're sending them to Hollywood. This is not. They're not finalists here. They're just.
So you're saying there's enough here. There's some people you're just going to throw off the list.
They'll make it through Iowa, in other words.
Yeah, you're sending them to Hollywood. Yep. You're saying, okay, the people need to listen to these people, and then they can decide from there. But I'm not necessarily supporting them. They can hear them. You know what I mean?
Got it.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Kelly Ayotte from New Hampshire, Senator.
Don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, we threw her off. No. Yeah, don't think it'll happen. No. We threw her off for what was the reason for her?
She's like John McCain. She's a female John McCain.
So we said, no, she's just off.
She also has no national base, no constituency.
Okay. Yeah, so are we looking at this, though, as people who can win or people you would like to win?
Yeah, we're saying people that have some sort of constitutional principles behind them. We don't need another John McCain.
Kelly's good for New Hampshire. Kelly is not where the nation is.
Okay, there you go. That makes a statement there, I think.
All right.
I think he encapsulated that well. Haley Barbour from Mississippi.
No.
Okay, we all kicked him off that list, but none of us could remember why.
Sure why.
We were like, Haley Barbour. I think we're against him, but I don't know why.
He was good as a governor, and he was good for time as the head of the Republican National Committee. But when he had opportunity to move conservative constitutional principles forward, didn't. It was more intuitive for him. Part of the South where he is just kind of constitutional. But when he had chances to fight for those principles, he didn't fight for them.
Okay.
And he had some immigration issues. Was he on the Immigration Council or something? He did something, I feel like, immigration related, but I can't remember
what it was.
Okay, next up, John Bolton, former ambassador of the United Nations.
No.
Ooh,
really?
Why?
Again, because now, I look at it pragmatically too, not just me sending him forward, but there's just not the base for him. He hasn't had the platform.
No. We're not
you
talking
don't
about
play
that.
that game. All
don't
right.
want to play that game because I don't think John Bolton has a chance because he has no base. Nobody would ever vote for him. But should the American people hear his point of view? Far as should the conservatives look at him and say, you know what, we should listen to him and see what he has to say.
Where he is on sovereignty and where he is on defense and other issues, absolutely. He's got a great voice. And
I think
he brings
so too.
A great thing to the table. Yes.
So you send him forward.
I'd send him forward.
Yeah, but I don't think he has any chance of winning.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Jeb Bush.
Jeb Bush, I don't think. No, I wouldn't send him forward.
Okay. Yeah, that was a little less clear than we were. I think we said Jeb. No.
I will say that Jeb probably is more conservative than the other two Bushes. The Jeb more so than the others, but I would not send him forward. No.
And he had a decent record in Florida, but still,
and he's a nice guy.
And he's a very nice guy.
His stuff
with the Bushes
has been much
very
worse
nice guy.
too.
He is
really
much worse now.
Herman Cain.
Herman Cain. I think Herman brings some good things to the table, particularly on his economic approaches, and I like his voice. I would send him into the next round.
Would you really?
I would.
We thought no because characters.
Part of it, too, is we've gone down that road already.
That's still an unresolved thing because there was the accusation and the denial, and nobody ever resolved that. But if you're just talking about wanting to hear a voice, I would send him forward. But if you're talking about pragmatic stuff, no, he's not going forward.
Okay.
Ben Carson, Dr. Ben Carson.
Ben Carson's got a voice that needs to be heard. I would send him the next round.
Yes.
Okay, now have you heard him talk about, because he was on our show, and I asked him about the Second Amendment, and he fell apart completely.
Well, he didn't fall apart completely. He said he supported it, and then you pushed him on specific regulations, and he went a step further than you would go.
No, I think he was talking about he sounded like
I think he said in inner cities he was worried about it. He was fine with the Second Amendment.
I don't understand why anybody needs a gun in the inner cities or something like that.
It was something like that. But again, you did an hour-long interview with a guy, and that was the only thing you pulled out of it as a negative.
Ben has had less. He's had less policy exposure and experience than a whole lot of people. What he brings on the healthcare side and on the government regulation intrusive side is a voice that ought to be heard. Yeah. Overall picture, the whole thing across the board. There's a ton of stuff that he's not going to be informed on.
And that's probably what it is. Because I did get the impression on the Second Amendment stuff that he hadn't really thought of that, because that's not his world.
Right.
So
that's
he hadn't really thought of all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Chris Christie, governor of New Jersey.
Oh, my gosh, he's pausing.
Now,
that's a pause.
See, on the standard of pragmatism, I don't go forward. On the standard of voice to be heard, I do. His bluntness and his in-your-face with media is refreshing. I would send him forward on that basis, but politically, I wouldn't send him forward.
Yeah, politically, he's a nightmare. He's a progressive. He's as bad as this guy.
That's right.
Done.
He's the best thing New Jersey's had in a while.
I think he'd be great. Send him forward as a Democrat.
Yeah,
Send him forward as a Democrat.
He should be the right. He should be the left in this country.
He should be. I mean, because that's who he is. He is a big government guy.
And if we were in a country where Chris Christie was the Democratic candidate, I'd feel a lot better about the future of the country.
Except he would win.
He might win, but still, at least if the crazy left-wing positions were the positions of Chris Christie, we'd have a much more sensible nation.
Remember what I said. The guy, I said this at CNN before anybody had even heard of Chris Christie. I'd never heard of Chris Christie. When I was at CNN, when I first saw Barack Obama, he was still losing to Hillary Clinton, and I said, if this guy wins, the guy who will follow him will be an out-of-control fat man with maybe even like a gravy stain on him. He is totally off the cuff and just totally real. If Barack Obama wins, and here we are, look at who the most logical candidate is, a big fat man who can just stand in front of the crowd and go, yeah, okay, so what, I got a little gravy on me. Listen, this is the way it is. And completely off prompter.
He's the new version of Bill Clinton 30 years later.
He is.
And it's very similar policies, really.
Yes.
I mean, they're right in the same general area. Ted Cruz, of course, of Texas.
Yeah, I send Ted forward.
Yeah, he gets a private jet.
He's the one that the three of us said, out of this whole list, all three of us agree. I'd vote for him for president right now. Don't need to know it anymore.
And by the way, you may know this, but did you know that when he was 12 and 13, he had totally memorized the Constitution word for word and would stand in front of public groups and write it out on a chalkboard, word for word, the entire Constitution. Had it done when he was 12, 13 years old.
I did not know that.
Wow.
That's awesome.
This guy's
great.
He is so great. He's so great.
Mitch Daniels, former Indiana governor.
No, wouldn't send Ford.
We couldn't figure out why.
He is a real. He's a soft version of everything that Republicans believe, and he's soft on principles. He was good on economic issues. When he was in office, he did really good on economic stuff. Outside that, when you come to constitutional issues, when you come to sovereignty issues, others, he's just too middle of the road.
I know.
I would not send him forward.
Were critical of him for his comments about there being a truce on certain social issues while we try to get the economic ones worked out.
That's right.
That was one of the things.
That's right.
He was not. He would not fight for many things. He was very good on economic things, but would not fight for other issues.
And his record in Indiana, as far as that goes, it was really good.
It was,
but that's definitely an issue. Newt Gingrich.
Newt Gingrich, I'd send forward.
Really?
Newt, I would do because the debate he raises over judges, for example, abolishing the Ninth Circuit, what he does, he knows bureaucracy better than anybody else and knows how to blow it up better.
For it.
Is it?
He's for it.
But see, he also brings a debate element that's really fun to talk about. He brings issues up that nobody else will bring up. And that's where I would send Newt for, just to have the debate and just to get the debate going. Judges especially.
Okay. I mean, again, we're just sending him into the round.
That's
fine. Nikki Haley from South Carolina.
Hang on just a second. I want to just make sure we agree. You're very clear. He's a huge progressive. Wow.
I'm not as clear now as it was a few years ago because I've talked to Newt so many times, and Newt changes often. He's the smartest guy in the room on everything, and so I've watched Newt change. And I'll tell you quite frankly, when he became a Catholic, his views changed quite significantly.
He is his
when
favorite
did he become
president.
A Catholic?
Yeah, his favorite president, unashamedly, is Theodore Roosevelt.
Right.
Loves Theodore Roosevelt. Likes Woodrow Wilson. Hello.
That's right.
I mean,
that's
a guy who does not understand the Constitution the way I understand the Constitution.
Well, for me, he's the only guy that talks about judges in the way that he does, that understands constitutional ways to restrain judges. And for that issue alone, I would push him forward.
Okay.
Right, fair enough. Nikki Haley, South Carolina governor.
I wouldn't send her the next round.
Really?
Why?
What's wrong with Nikki Haley?
Because I don't think that she's voicing anything that's not already being voiced by candidates we've already talked about. I don't think there's anything unique that she brings that other candidates don't bring.
Oh, okay.
But I think
David's war on women continues. War on women.
But I notice he hasn't wished the First Lady a happy birthday yet.
I noticed that. Yeah.
That's right.
Glaring omission.
Yes.
Bobby Jindal from Louisiana.
Bobby, I send forward.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
We like him.
I like Bobby Jindal a lot. I think he gets a bad rap because of one freaking speech.
That's right.
He's the opposite of Barack Obama.
If
he had one bad speech and he's dismissed, where the president had one good speech and he becomes the president.
Well, he would be exactly where you want if he had not used prompter on that speech. If he had gone off the cuff, he is the best off the cuff guy out there. His problem was he went prompter on that speech, and he should have responded off of what he heard. And there's nobody smarter than Bobby Jindal.
No, I really like him. I really like him.
He's great.
All right, John Kasich from Ohio.
Kasich, again, has got some real strengths, but there's nothing unique about him. He's really strong on economic issues. He's really strong on regulatory issues. He will fight for other issues, just not as strong as that. But he doesn't bring anything new that's not covered in other
candidates. I heard bad things about him, too, from the people of Ohio yesterday.
Yeah, I've heard.
When we brought him up, there's real concerns with the people who know him.
Okay, keep going quickly.
I want to get to Mike Pence. Can we ask him about what do you think of Mike Pence?
Go down the list real quick.
Okay, Representative Peter King of New York, who's really good. Susana Martinez from New Mexico. We didn't know anything really about her at all.
Susana's great at the state level. There's nothing to add at the national level.
Ahead. Sarah Palin. We kind of thought we'd been there before.
Right.
She's great. But Senator Rand Paul.
Rand's going to be in the debate.
Yeah.
No question. He'll be in the debate.
And I think he truly brings new things to the debate. I think he and Cruz bring important things to be heard.
Former Representative Ron Paul, he's not going to run.
No, he's not going to run.
He's not going.
Tim Pawlenty.
Tim Pawlenty's not going. I wouldn't move him forward.
Mike Pence, Indiana governor.
Mike Pence would be a fun one to move forward. He articulates all the issues in a much softer tone. But his record and his willingness to fight for the stuff is very strong.
Okay, keep going.
Rick Perry, Texas governor.
Rick, I would put in the debate again.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Senator Rob Portman of Ohio.
Rob Portman, I would put in the debate.
Okay.
He has a voice that I would hear.
Yeah, I think. Did we kept him in? Didn't we?
He's had some bad votes recently, but he's a smart guy.
Yeah, he's worth talking to.
All right, Condoleezza Rice. I don't think she's running.
No, I don't want her in.
If she were to run, she'd be a fun voice to listen to.
She was great. She gave one of the best speeches at the convention.
She's pretty moderate, though. She's a moderate Republican.
She's globalist,
she's not
progressive.
super
on social
conservative
issues,
by
on sovereignty
any
issues.
means.
Yeah, sovereignty. She's a globalist.
Yeah. She's a voice that brings some good perspective.
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio is going to bring good perspective. I'd listen to Marco. I'd put him in the debate.
Him off
dead
that
to
list.
me.
He's dead to me,
dead
too.
to me.
He's not as dead.
See, there's issues like that. There's other issues he's really good on.
He is really good on some issues.
And there's some issues he's really good on, but he's got himself branded now and tarnished with that. And
Yes.
that's gonna be his
I don't know what he's good on anymore because he died some time ago to me.
You brand yourself. You brand yourself as somebody who didn't stand and didn't have a spine.
And
you're done.
if you took that issue out of the debates, he would add a lot more in other areas. But the problem is, can you get past that issue?
I don't think so.
Paul Ryan?
Paul Ryan, again, he ought to be in the debate. He's got some stuff to talk about.
We took him out. Go ahead.
Brian Sandoval from Nevada.
There's personal guys I would take out. I'm trying to maintain your standard of
I know.
They have a voice that should be heard.
I know.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Brian Sandoval from Nevada. I don't know much about him. Okay. Rick Santorum.
Rick, I think, is past. I don't think he'll be in the debate this time.
I think so.
Senator Tim Scott, South Carolina.
I don't think Tim will be in the debate.
Right.
No, he's too soon. But
John
he's great.
Thune, South Dakota.
John will not be in the debate. He's got a great voice. He's very Coburn-like in many ways, a softer tone than Coburn, but very much a voice that should be heard. But I don't think he'll be in the debate.
According to Arlen Specter, looks good in a bathhouse too. So let's
two more.
Throw that out there.
Scott Walker from Wisconsin.
Scott Walker, voice that'll be heard.
And Alan West of Florida is the last one.
Alan West.
Alan West should be heard. He's not going to make the debate.
So let me ask you this on
Huckabee's
Walker.
not on that list.
No, we took Huckabee off. He
was on that list, but we took him off.
You want him on?
I think he's going to be heard.
I
think he will be heard too.
Giant progressive.
He's already in the polling. He's the front runner.
I'm starting to think
he's ahead of Christie.
No.
Depends on what poll you're looking at, but he does do well. He does poll well.
South Carolina, all the early primary states, he's ahead of everybody.
He is a giant progressive.
He
is Woodrow Wilson.
I officially resign forever from everything if Mike Huckabee is the nominee. I'm done. I'm absolutely I give up. I'm done if it's Mike Huckabee.
Because he is a huge progressive.
I would go the other way because I know him too well. I know Mike too well. I know how he's portrayed, and I know Club for Growth doesn't like him, but I've just known Mike too long.
We don't like him.
David, we'll have a chat.
Unfortunately, don't have time.